International, we are all illegals. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh. Our guests are Marco Saavedra, who is a young activist, dream activist, who was detained this weekend and used his presence in the Broward Transitional Center, the reason he got arrested, to investigate whether other people in the jail should be released. We're also joined by Tom Shea. Tom Shea is Director of Training and Technical Assistance at New York Immigration Coalition. We've just heard Marco's story. And Tom, if you can talk about what is happening on August 15th.
On August 15th, the people who arrived in the United States as children would be able to come forward and apply for deferred action. So the formal name of the program is called Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And the application form is not out yet. The USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, has said that they would post it to their website by August 15th. So we haven't seen the form yet. We don't know what the application will look like. But in order to apply for deferred action for childhood arrivals, the person must have arrived in the United States before their 16th birthday. They had to have been continuously residing in the United States since June 15th, 2007, through the present. They had to have either entered the United States without inspection, like crossing the border illegally, or if they entered legally, they have to have been in unlawful status as of June 15th, 2012. They have to show that they were physically present in the United States on June 15th, 2012, up through the time that they submit their request for deferred action.
So what should people know about this and how different it is from what the DREAM Act is? I mean, what the legally...
Legally, so deferred action for childhood arrivals is not a pathway to legalization, a pathway to the green card, or a pathway to citizenship. Unlike the DREAM Act, if Congress had passed the DREAM Act, it would be a pathway to people getting their green card. And deferred action for childhood arrivals is just really a determination by the immigration authorities that we're not going to deport you. We could deport you from the United States, but we are not going to start deportation proceedings against you. Or if you're in deportation proceedings, we're going to stop the deportation proceedings against you. Or if you have
how long?
For 2 years, and during that 2-year period, you could get a work permit.
I want to play a part of President Obama's comments from June 15th when he announced the deferred action plan for certain young immigrants and called on Congress to take further action.
There's still time for Congress to pass the DREAM Act this year, because these kids deserve to plan their lives in more than 2-year increments. And we still need to pass comprehensive immigration reform that addresses our 21st century economic and security needs. Reform that gives our farmers and ranchers certainty about the workers that they'll have. Reform that gives our science and technology sectors certainty that the young people who come here to earn their PhDs won't be forced to leave and start new businesses in other countries. Reform that continues to improve our border security and lives up to our heritage as a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. Just 6 years ago, the unlikely trio of John McCain, Ted Kennedy, and President Bush came together to champion this kind of reform. And I was proud to join 23 Republicans in voting for it. So there's no reason that we can't come together and get this done.
That's President Obama announcing the new rule. Marco Saavedra, you graduated from Kenyon this year. You also attended Georgetown. President Obama is encouraging Congress to pass the DREAM Act. What are you doing about getting the DREAM Act passed?
Correct. So, again, I guess speaking as a member of the National Immigrant Youth Alliance, which is really a collection of grassroots efforts around the country, grassroots groups that are largely student and ally-led. Our efforts have always been, obviously, to be politically involved, but primarily coming from our base being our communities. So we start advocating and organizing our communities, then we can have the accountability necessary to hold our politicians to their promises. And so instead of waiting for their timelines, we're hoping to always advance the agenda. And I guess speaking more to the Broward Transitional Center, it's maybe though it might be coincidental, it is in Florida, and obviously a very opportune and political time to be in that state, since it is such a key electoral vote to win. And so we're trying to highlight that, and also calling attention and accountability. In fact, today there will be an act of civil disobedience at Senator Bill Nelson's office, because both he and Senator Rubio have been apprehensive to helping out many of our families. And so they both had been won priorly, and so in order, again, to advance the agenda, in order to hold them accountable, in order to demonstrate the community strength that has already existed through organizing, I guess it's always good to escalate and always push the timetable.
In the Broward facility, when you were there, what was the average length of time that people had been inside? Some people for quite a while, over a year or two even.
Exactly. By and large, folks are there for months at a time. I think the longest stay that I heard of was a group of 6 Sri Lankan men that were asking for asylum due to them being ethnic Tamils and the civil war in Sri Lanka, and they had been there for 20 months, even though many other Sri Lankans had gone through the center and had been given asylum in the U.S. But by and large, a lot of the men are sometimes even opt to sign their deportation orders instead of waiting indefinitely for a hearing, just because there's only one judge for 600 men, and so your hearings might be spaced out months at a time. And if you don't want to pay, $2,000 for an attorney who can then maybe find a bond hearing for you for $5,000, instead of some men kind of risk it, go back to Mexico or Central America, and then say, I can pay a coyote $3,000 or $4,000 to go across the border and risk the danger of death, including.
Tom Shea, where do people go on August 15th if they want to apply, young people?
Well, we are, at the New York Immigration Coalition, we're holding an orientation that day, and you can get more information on it on our website at www.thenyic.org. And the orientation will having immigration attorneys there who will pre-screen people to see if they qualify, and then we'll make appointments for them with local nonprofit immigration legal service organizations.
This is a national show, and so for people all over the country, what do they do? North Dakota, California, Arizona?
It's harder for me to say of
Do they go into an immigration office?
I would recommend going to a nonprofit immigration legal service organization, Board of Immigration Appeals recognized organizations that are authorized to provide immigration legal services. I recommend going to immigration attorneys through those nonprofit immigration service organizations.
But not directly to immigration.
Well, not directly to immigration, yes. If that you're trying to ask me, yes. Don't go. I don't think you should go directly to the USCIS
Marco,
to do this.
will you be going?
I think so. I think it's always, again, our privilege as a DREAM Act eligible student to be eligible for deferred action on a deportation or being deportable, and also for the work permit advantages that affords.
Do you have information on your website for where people can go around the country, young people?
I think closer to August 15th, again, on dreamactivist.org, information on that will be uploaded. I guess for now, we're definitely counseling folks to, as the attorney said here, but also to consult with definitely with an AILA-approved or certified attorney.
Just before we conclude, Tom Shea, I just wanted to clarify, if an application for deferred action is denied, what's the consequence of that? Would a person be deported then?
Well, it depends on this. The USCIS has indicated that the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services has stated that if they deny a request for deferred action, then they'll follow their policy on issuing a charging document for deportation proceedings. So they wouldn't outright just say they won't put someone in deportation proceedings. What they said is essentially if you don't have a criminal background, they determine you're not a national security threat or a risk to public safety, then they'll follow the NTA policy, and if you're a low priority, they will not issue the NTA to put you in deportation proceedings. So that's not like a clear-cut saying we won't put you in deportation proceedings.
Which is why it's critical to go to an immigration organization before you apply.
Yeah, and avoid going to notarios and immigration consultants who will scam people out of their money, and they're not authorized to practice law, and they very often submit applications that are not well prepared, and that could really put someone in a bad situation.
Notarios?
Notarios, yeah.
Well, I want to thank you both very much for being with us. Tom Shea, Director of Training at the New York Immigration Coalition, and Marco Saavedra. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're out. Undocumented activist who certainly put his own life on the record and on the line to document what is happening to immigrants around the country. He infiltrated the Broward Transitional Center in Florida by getting arrested. Then after he got out, was arrested again calling for the release of other immigrants in detention. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with